Welcome back to Masters Crafts. Here we are back in the playroom. As you can see, we got everything cleared out of here. So, first, a little bit of history. Obviously, this room didn't start as a playroom. Actually, originally, it was a coal room. This house was built with a coal furnace for some idiotic reason, I don't know. But this room was literally half full, about up to my waist, with just coal. The coal furnace died, we replaced it with an oil furnace. Years later, after I got married and had 4 kids, and we decided to move back in here, this room was just storage, so we cleaned it all up, decided to turn it into a playroom. Drywall wasn't in the best condition. It was still pretty solid though, so we just painted over it. Before I go any further, redoing the floor and building the desk and all that junk, I want to make this drywall look a little better. You can probably see some nicks in the walls where shovels hit things and whatnot. So I'm going to have to go around and mud and smooth it all out. So to do that, the very first thing you're going to want to do is dust. Get rid of cobwebs, because spiders are horrible, disgusting, loathsome creatures that make messes that rival my children, which is pretty hard to do. So yeah, get all the cobwebs out first. Take the time to do it. Trust me, you won't regret it. As you can see, it looks like I'm going to be mudding and sanding over carpet. Yes, that is deliberate. All of this is going to get torn up later, so there's no point tearing it up beforehand, because when you're mudding, you're going to drip mud on the floor. Might as well drip it on the floor that I'm going to get rid of anyway. I'm also making sure to wear clothes that I really don't care about. Got a hat, because it's easier to wash mud off of a hat than out of my weird hair. So first step is to go over and sand everything. It doesn't have to be sanded off, just got to scuff it up so the joint compound, so the mud has something to grab onto. So let's get to it. Okay, there's the major part of the sanding. You can probably see some spots like over here, these black streaks. Yeah, that's actually where a chunk of coal had gotten pressed into the wall. And I wound up just priming and painting over top of it. It lasted until I hit it with sandpaper, so I'm not sure I really care. I'm not going to bother digging it all out of there. New coat of paint and primer is going to seal it back up, no problem. Next step is using a big, what is this thing, 15-inch sanding disc by Gator. I love this thing, not sponsored. Works great for sanding this type of stuff, but obviously you can't get in all the corners, so now I got to go around with a sponge sander. And one of the people that mudded and taped this room before, whatever idiot it was worse at it than I am. So there's going to be some seams, like you might be able to see it up here, where it's rounded over too much. They just didn't do a very good job getting a nice corner in that tape. Getting nice tape in the corner, however the hell you want to put it. So I'm going to be cutting that and seeing if I can clean it up and make it look a little bit better. The sanding also highlights a lot of high spots, all the white bits on the wall. where things are sticking out. I think a lot of this drywall was actually put up with nails, which I don't know. I don't know why you could do this, would do that. I could see maybe back in the plaster and lath days, but this is actual drywall. The morons decided to use nails. Who knows? So anyways, yeah, so to fix those spots, nice thing about drywall, you can fix and smooth out just about anything. When you get a little high spot where a nail or something's poking out, just hammer it back in. So yeah, let's get back to it. Okay, I got most of the nails pounded in. We're going to double check that before we begin to mud. However, I did forget to sand the ceiling, so here we go. Okay, next step. Let me turn the light off. Okay, next step. You want to knock off any bigger bumps and, just check for more stuff you got to knock down. If it's smooth enough that you can feather it out with mud, then it's fine. You don't have to worry about it. Like there's some pretty big spots on the ceiling, like here and here. I'm not going to bother trying to knock that off. It'll be easier just to spread the mud out. So the further you can feather something out, the flatter it's going to look. So for this, all you're going to do is just be as thorough as you can. Take a knife, scrape it along the wall. You'll hear it catch. If you can feel like right here, it is raised, but it's not raised enough to catch the putty knife. So that tells me I can just take a little mud and go across like that along the edge and just smooth it out, make it a nice even transition, and that'll be fine. Then, I think I got too many of the bad spots. Right here, it's catching. Let's knock it off. Catches. Just try to scrape it right off with the knife. Any marks you make, it's drywall. You just fix it with mud later. The camera won't let me zoom in anymore. I still haven't been able to upgrade. So, this is all on a concrete floor, and this is an exterior wall. So scraping this, there's a loose chunk here that popped out. But what it it was the drywall, just gypsum. It's basically a desiccant. It's going to soak up moisture. It's just, gypsum. It's weakened it. It soaked up enough moisture here that it weakened it. I also hit a nail, which probably helped matters. Hope I didn't mark up my knife. Yeah, that's good. But, so I left a big chunk here. Some of this paper's peeling off from the moisture. But I'm not going to be too concerned with this because I can tell the drywall right here is tight down against the concrete floor. Concrete is not watertight. Concrete will actually wick up moisture. So what happens is being on an exterior wall and a concrete floor, this section picks up a lot more moisture from outside than the rest of the room. And because the drywall was sitting tight against it, they didn't put anything on the base to protect it. It soaked up in the wall, but it only soaked up to about here. So all I'm going to do is peel off what's loose and then knock some of the drywall out below. Yeah, see, and it's really just the paint peeling off. If we let that dry up, it'll be fine. All I got to do is get a little bit of this out of contact with the concrete. It won't be able to soak up the extra moisture, and I'll just be careful filling that hole in. I just got to make sure that it's going to be below the level where the baseboard molding is going to go, which isn't going to be hard because, I could always just buy taller baseboard molding. It really doesn't matter. I'm just going to get the cheap foam stuff anyway. So, yeah. Easy fix. It's not the whole wall that's rotted. It's only one tiny section. So, just if you can figure out exactly what's causing it and just eliminate that one little piece of the puzzle, you're typically good. Okay, the walls have been gone over. Do work up a sweat. Now there's some other considerations to take into account with the walls too. Sometimes some of the coal that was pushed into the wall, like over here in the corner, there was a big chunk there that was still sticking out a bit. Sanding it didn't knock it down flush. So spots like that, you want to just pop out with the corner of your trowel just before you use this for actually mudding. Check the edge on it, make sure you didn't mark it up. But there's other things you want to take into consideration. Sometimes if you have a lot of small bumps, but close together, for example, not sure how well you can make that out, but there is a whole area There's a whole big area of really small but very close together bumps here. It's not worth trying to flatten all those out. Like I said, I'm only trying to make it look, smooth and look like it, there wasn't such a poor job done on it. So you get a lot of bumps together where you can run your trowel across and you're hitting 10, 20 of them at any given time. What you do is leave them. Because when you take a trowel full of mud and you scrape it across those bumps, what's going to happen is that trowel is never going to drop all the way down in between two bumps. It's going to glide over the top, and it'll let you fill the mud in over all of them and make it nice and smooth overall. So it's not worth the effort to try to sit there and dig out, 1,000 little bumps out of one bad spot on the wall. Just mud over the whole thing, and they'll help you just average out that height and make it nice and smooth and pretty. Next step is going over and checking the ceiling. Now, for ceilings, typically, They're usually lighter colors. Lighter colors make imperfections and spots that are sticking out a lot easier to see. The other thing that makes it a lot easier to see is the angle. A wall, you're looking directly at, you're perpendicular to it. However, a ceiling, you're looking up at an angle. It's a much better angle to spot little imperfections. So don't worry, scraping up and down every inch of a wall, you haven't got to do that over your head. On the ceiling, just look around. You're going to be able to get 98% of the stuff just looking at it. You might miss one or two as you're going along, buddy. Not a big deal. Just stop, take another putty knife, scrape that little spot real quick, continue on. So, yeah. So overall, ceiling doesn't actually look too bad in terms of unfixable areas. So it's time to get on to the next part.